Have you ever truly noticed the woman who lives by herself? Not the one endlessly scrolling through dating apps or drowning her emotions in distractions, but the woman who is genuinely content in her solitude. She has no boyfriend, no partner, no constant romantic pursuit. And the part that unsettles people the most? She is not searching for one either. The moment society sees a woman like this, it rushes to explain her away. People assume she must be lonely, emotionally damaged, or recovering from some heartbreaking betrayal. Others convince themselves she simply had no other choice. They need to believe she is a victim of circumstance because the alternative threatens everything they've been taught to accept as normal. But they are mistaken. Her life is not some tragic cautionary tale. It is a conscious unraveling of every illusion we've been sold about what a woman's existence is supposed to be. From childhood, women are taught that they are incomplete on their own, that they are waiting for someone to arrive and make them whole. We are conditioned to believe that value comes from partnership and that a home without a man somehow lacks meaning. Yet when a woman chooses solitude, she is not losing herself. She is finally finding herself. She is stepping beyond the limits that were placed around her life and reclaiming it as her own. This journey is not glamorous. It doesn't earn standing ovations or endless praise online. More often, it invites uncomfortable questions, judgmental comments, and sympathetic glances during family gatherings. But beneath all of that exists a quiet strength that most people are too afraid to develop within themselves. It takes immense courage to stop chasing approval from the outside world and begin trusting the voice inside your own soul. Many assume a woman like this must be cold, detached, or emotionally unavailable. But the truth is the opposite. She is not cold. She is exhausted. Exhausted from years of pouring herself into people who never learned how to pour back into her. She spent too much time carrying relationships emotionally while slowly disappearing inside them. She knows what it feels like to give endlessly and still remain unseen. Now she understands something most people never do. Her energy is sacred, limited, valuable. She is no longer available to everyone who demands a piece of her. She has stopped treating herself like a public resource and started protecting herself like a sacred sanctuary. She has not lost the ability to love. She has simply decided that access to her heart now requires honesty, consistency, effort, and integrity. The truth is, a woman who no longer needs a relationship to feel complete becomes deeply unsettling to the world around her. Society is built on emotional dependency, on the belief that people are unfinished until someone else validates them. The moment a woman declares, "I am already enough," she disrupts that entire structure. She challenges the idea that women need to be rescued, controlled, or possessed. And that is dangerous to systems built on insecurity. You cannot manipulate a woman who is comfortable alone. You cannot control someone who enjoys her own presence. Most men are taught to feel valuable by becoming necessary. They seek women who rely on them emotionally, financially, or psychologically. So when they encounter a woman who has already built stability within herself, they often struggle to understand their place in her life. It forces them to confront whether their importance was ever rooted in genuine connection or simply in being needed. Even other women can feel unsettled in her presence, not because she is judging them, but because her freedom reflects the chains they still carry. Her existence silently asks a painful question. Am I truly with this person because I love them, or because I'm terrified of facing myself alone? She doesn't need to argue or explain herself. Her life speaks for her. This kind of wholeness is different. It is not fragile or performative. It is grounded like a mountain, steady, unmoved, complete without requiring permission to exist beautifully. She has discovered that the deepest relationship she will ever experience is the one between her own heart and mind within the quiet of her home. She is not waiting for life to begin once someone arrives. She is already living it fully. And when someone eventually enters her world, they step into a space she has carefully protected. The door is not closed to keep people out. It is closed to ensure that anyone who enters understands the value of what exists inside. When you walk into her home, the first thing you notice is not what's present, but what's absent. There is silence there, real silence. But it is not emptiness. To most people, a quiet house feels lonely. To her, it feels peaceful, safe, sacred. Most people fear silence because the moment external noise disappears, they are forced to hear themselves. So they surround themselves with distractions, shallow relationships, endless entertainment, and constant noise just to avoid confronting their own thoughts. But she stopped running long ago. Her home has become a refuge where she no longer needs to perform, explain herself, or carry the emotional burdens of others. It is the one place where she can exist exactly as she is. Of course, society labels women like her. They call her difficult, intimidating, overly selective, or emotionally unavailable. But those labels reveal far more about the people using them than about her. A woman who enjoys her own company forces others to confront their fear of being alone with themselves. People assume she built walls to shut the world out. In reality, she built boundaries to finally protect herself. For years, she allowed herself to be consumed by other people's expectations, problems, and emotional chaos. Now she guards her peace carefully. She has already faced the pain most people spend their lives avoiding. Childhood wounds, toxic attachments, abandonment patterns, and the desperate need to beg for affection. Her solitude is not evidence of damage. It is evidence of healing. This transformation is not about becoming antisocial. It is about emotional maturity. To immature minds, her boundaries seem distant. Her refusal to chase validation or participate in modern dating games looks like bitterness or surrender. But she has not given up on love. She has simply evolved beyond illusion. She no longer mistakes anxiety for chemistry. She no longer confuses inconsistency with excitement. She has outgrown the fantasy of being rescued, and she refuses to become someone else's unfinished project. Instead of desperately searching for someone to complete her, she has learned how to stand fully within herself. The old idea that two broken halves become whole together no longer interests her. She understands now that healthy love is not built on emotional starvation. It is built on reciprocity. She desires something far rarer, a connection between two people who have already done the difficult work of knowing themselves. Two people who are emotionally grounded, self-aware, and capable of meeting one another without masks. Until that kind of connection appears, she is entirely at peace remaining where she is. She is not postponing happiness while waiting for someone to arrive. She already loves the life she has created. And anyone who enters that life must bring at least as much peace as the solitude she fought so hard to build. When you look at her, you are not simply seeing a woman who lives alone. You're seeing someone who has chosen authenticity over performance. Most people spend their lives following scripts they never wrote. Marriage, validation, approval, constant companionship just to feel accepted. But she stepped away from that script. She embodies something society insists is impossible. The ability to be deeply happy without needing an audience. She does not need someone to narrate her existence or validate her experiences online. Her happiness is not a performance. It is something intimate and deeply personal between her and her own spirit. So when people accuse her of being too picky, she simply smiles quietly because she understands something they do not. What the world calls too picky is often just self-respect. She has stopped negotiating for basic human decency. Honesty, consistency, loyalty, respect. These are no longer luxuries to her. They are requirements. And if those things are absent, she is perfectly willing to walk away. That level of clarity becomes a mirror for everyone around her. Men who rely on female insecurity feel powerless around her because their usual tactics no longer work. Women still trapped in cycles of approval and self-abandonment feel uncomfortable because her freedom reminds them of what they have not yet claimed for themselves. She is not trying to rebel. She is not seeking attention. She is simply existing honestly. But in a world that expects women to remain agreeable, available, and easy to consume, authenticity itself becomes revolutionary. She no longer lives to please others, shrink herself, or fit into expectations that suffocate her spirit. She lives fully, unapologetically, and truthfully. And that makes her dangerous in the most powerful way possible. She is free. This freedom has completely changed her understanding of love. If she walks alone today, it is not because she was abandoned or forgotten. It is because every day she remains single is a conscious act of self-respect. Every time she refuses a shallow connection, she honors herself. She has learned that being alone is infinitely less painful than feeling invisible beside someone who cannot truly see her. She remembers those relationships well. The ones where you sit next to someone and still feel emotionally abandoned. She has no desire to return to that kind of loneliness disguised as companionship. Her path is not always effortless. There are moments of doubt. Nights when she misses touch, closeness, or the sound of another voice in the room. But even in those moments, she refuses to betray herself simply to avoid temporary discomfort. She will not sacrifice her peace just to avoid sleeping alone. The love she welcomes now is entirely different from the love she once chased. She is not looking for salvation because she genuinely values the life she has built. She does not need someone to repair her wounds or fill empty spaces within her. When love finally arrives, it will not complete her. It will complement her. It will be two whole people choosing to walk beside one another. Not because they are incomplete apart, but because life becomes even richer when shared consciously. This kind of love is not possession. It is expansion. It is the difference between needing support to stand and finding someone capable of walking beside you at the same pace. She waits not for perfection, but for equality. For someone who has also confronted themselves honestly and understands that love is meant to nourish freedom, not destroy it. And maybe this is the real message hidden beneath her story. This is not only about some mysterious woman living quietly somewhere in the world. It is about the strength sleeping inside you right now. If these words feel heavy in your chest, it is likely because some part of you is exhausted. Exhausted from shrinking yourself to fit inside spaces that were never designed for your growth. Exhausted from sacrificing your truth to keep relationships intact. Exhausted from becoming smaller so others can remain comfortable. Your soul is asking for room to breathe again. So don't simply hear these words and continue living the same way. Do something with this realization. If you desire a love that does not require self-betrayal, the first step is not searching for another person. It is returning to yourself. Learn how to enjoy your own silence. Build a life so peaceful and meaningful that only genuine love can enter it. Raise your standards high enough that authenticity becomes the only thing capable of reaching you. And remind every woman around you that her power was never defined by who desired her. Her power begins the moment she stops abandoning herself to be accepted by others. Because wholeness is not something another person gives you. It is the home you learn to build within yourself. VidEQ